A 29-year-old woman named Bardisa has been arrested in Palm Coast, Florida, after authorities uncovered that she had been working as a nurse and treating thousands of patients without a valid license. According to the Flagler County Sheriff's Office, Bardisa was hired on July 3, 2023 by Advent Health Palm Coast Parkway as an advanced practice registered nurse. APRN. She claimed to have completed her nursing education but had never passed the national licensing exam. Later, she falsely stated that she had passed and provided a license number, one that actually belonged to another nurse with the same first name. She explained the mismatch in documentation by claiming she had recently gotten married and changed her last name, yet she never provided any official marriage certificate to prove it. Her deception might have continued undetected, but in January 2025, while being considered for a promotion, a colleague discovered that Bardisa only had an expired CNA, Certified Nursing Assistant license. That discovery led to an internal investigation and her termination from the hospital on January 22, 2025. In the following weeks, law enforcement confirmed that between June 2024 and January 2025, Bardisa had treated approximately 4,486 patients, all while fraudulently working as a licensed nurse. Sheriff Rick Staly called it the most disturbing case of medical fraud they've ever investigated, emphasizing the immense risk she posed to public health and patient safety. Bardisa was arrested on August 5, 2025, at her home and now faces 7 counts of practicing nursing without a license and 7 counts of fraudulent use of personal identification. Her bail was set at $70,000.
This is about the arrest of a lady that was practicing being a registered nurse without a license. We believe that there were over 4,400 patients that she was in one manner or another that was involved in care at Advent Health Palm Coast, which is our newest hospital in Flagler County. Bardisa, as we understand it, was graduated from Rasmussen University in March 2022. She then took a state/federal licensing exam and failed. She then was hired on July 3rd of 2023 by Advent Health to be a advanced nurse tech working under a registered nurse. When she applied, she gave a nursing license number, and they noticed when they checked that the last name was different. And she said, well, I just got married. So they congratulated her on getting married, asked her to provide a copy of the marriage certificate, which she never did. And she then became an RN, and they were actually, by using this assumed last name and the license number of a licensed RN. And she never provided the documentation of her marriage and the change in the last name. And frankly, from our investigation, that probably fell through the cracks at Advent Health. She was up for a promotion to a charge nurse, and that triggered a review of her documentation, at which time they determined that it was fraudulent, that she had assumed the identity of a legally licensed nurse, ironically, who also worked for Advent Health, but not here, in another South Florida, as I understand it. And that started an internal investigation by them. They fired her. 2 months later, they notified us of the incident, which began a 7-month investigation. And the reason it took 7 months is you have to remember that we are trying to thread the needle on HIPAA laws. And so we have to have victims. We don't know who the victims are. And we also have to work with the hospital to obtain victim names. And so that required subpoenas and investigation, and that takes a while to complete. We worked with the Florida Department of Health because we had to prove that it was a fraudulent use of somebody else's name and license, which was done. And I can tell you that our detectives did a phenomenal job in this investigation. Now, with over 4,400 victims, if you will, in this case, we worked with the 7th Circuit Judicial State Attorney's Office, which is R.J. Larissa, to determine how you can't really charge 4,400 counts. I guess you could, but it's going to significantly bog down the criminal justice system. So the time that she was employed as what they thought was a fully certified RN was 7 months. So they charged 1 count for each month that she worked at the hospital as allegedly a fully licensed authorized RN. So that's why it's 7 counts. 7 counts of practicing medicine without a license, basically, and 7 counts of identity fraud. Technically, there could be 4,400 plus charges, but that's just not realistic. So that's kind of the nutshell, if you will, of the case. It's probably one of the most, can't think of the word I want right now. For somebody, you go to a hospital and you trust that the hospital staff is fully licensed, prepared to serve you in whatever your medical need is. And so you have to have faith in the system. And I think in this case, it showed that there was some flaws, at least in follow-up, and a very trustworthy hiring process. When you say, I just got married, that's why my last name is different. And they asked her to provide, but there was no follow-up. So I think there were some mistakes made in the hiring process, but you can deal with Advent Health on that, because we only look at the criminal case and what led up to it, what caused it. To our knowledge, there's no serious injury or death related to this incident. And she must have done a good job, even though she wasn't licensed, because they were looking at a promotion to charge nurse, which is what triggered the review of her file and ultimately how she got caught.
Chip, I was reading the charging affidavit. It looks like you were waiting on that last subpoena to get those medical records. Was that really the last key piece of evidence you need to bring forward to get a warrant to arrest her?
We did. So the state attorney wanted that, and we had to work through the legal process because of HIPAA. So let me make it very clear. We did not receive any medical records. So what the victims in this case, or the patients, were in the hospital for is unknown to us. All we have is their name because they were a victim of the crime.
So she was terminated in January. Was she arrested over at that Pinto address, or where did you?
She was arrested at her home address, and I don't have that in front of me. In Palm Coast.
I know we're supposed to get the body cam at some point. Have you watched it? What was her demeanor, reaction? Was she surprised, picked up, or did she know this was coming?
I have not watched the body camera, so I can't answer that question.
And Sheriff, obviously through the investigative process, I mean, clearly someone at the hospital was able to notify a higher up or something that, wait a minute, this is a flag in our system, that sort of thing. Did you interview that specific person, the tipster, if you will, that brought this to your attention?
Well, we did interview the people that were involved in uncovering this incident, not the hiring process, except for what we needed to make the criminal case. I can tell you that, ironically, after she was fired from Advent Health, she actually did take the licensing exam in early 2025 and passed it this time. But, I would say this is greed or wanting a job so bad that you would manipulate a system and assume somebody's identity to be able to practice. You went to school, but you failed the exam. And instead of, and she told them that she was taking an exam, but that's when she produced the identity. And the other ironic part of this case is, and maybe this is how she found this particular individual. She found somebody with her first name, different last name. But how she was able to find is they actually went to school together, but they did not know each other.
Wow.
So somehow she found it, same university, same hiring class, if you will, through Advent, but they never met, they never knew each other.
Did you notify the other Autumn?
We did, and I can tell you this has made her life havoc, if you can imagine, with all the licensing that's required by the state of Florida and by nationally to have somebody assume your identity. This is certainly worse than credit card fraud, you know, and so taking somebody's identity to get a credit card or a mortgage. You're dealing with the lives potentially of patients that have been admitted. So it's a very unusual case, probably one of the most unusual cases that I think we have investigated since I've been sheriff and probably in my career that we find this. Because usually it's stuff's vetted out and caught.
Are you asking for any potential patients who are treated like her to come forward?
So in the news release that we put out, if anybody thinks that they could be a victim of this lady, we've asked that they email, let me make sure I get it right, fake nurse, yeah, that's right, sorry, Frank Nurse Case at flaglersheriff.com. So that fake, what'd I say?
Frank.
Oh, Frank. No, we don't want that. Sorry, for all the Franks out there, sorry about that. So, thank God I'm not live today.
You are.
Oh, I am?
Okay.
Fake nurse case at flaglersheriff.com.